Recording. Welcome, everyone. My name is Divya Pawar, and I am a trading coordinator at the Small Business Development Center. We help small businesses start and grow, and we're doing this through consulting over the phone or through Zoom and with a robust calendar of training events. Today's webinar is on getting ready to enter the world of social media. In this webinar, we will discuss target market research, how to develop content and branding across platforms, and prepare you to create social media pages on your own. This webinar will be presented by Leyanis Diaz. For the webinar, we have all attendees muted, and we encourage you to put your questions in the chat or Q&A. We will answer all the questions in the end, and all attendees will receive the presentation and recording after the webinar. With that, I will turn the floor to Leyanis.
Thank you, Divya. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Getting Ready to Enter the World of Social Media. I want to start off by giving you an introduction to our center because I realize that there may be some new clients who are still getting acclimated to us or audience members who have never heard of us before on this webinar. So the mission of our center and the network of small business development centers in Pennsylvania at large is providing entrepreneurs and small business owners with the knowledge they need to make smart decisions and grow their businesses. We offer one-on-one consulting, workshops, training programs, clinics, and connections to resources. And we're able to do that. And we're able to do this at no cost to our clients through funding from the Small Business Administration, the Department of Community and Economic Development, Temple University, and the Fox School of Business. A little about me. My name is Leyanis Diaz, and I am a bilingual business consultant and in-house marketing specialist at the Temple Small Business Development Center. I support small business owners in both English and Spanish. My background is in communications, and so I have worked with radio stations, TV stations, individuals, small businesses, corporations, and universities, and planning and implementing their marketing plans, strategies, and tactics for over 10 years. And I have also been running my own marketing and consulting firm for minority-owned businesses for over 3 years now. Okay, so on to what we'll be discussing today. If you're here, it's because you are new to social media and are looking to start using social media, or you are using social media, but for personal reasons and would like to now transition to using it for business purposes. And if that's the case, you have come to the right place. Today, I will give you a brief overview of social media and its benefits. I will then give you an overview of some of the most widely used social media platforms and how to use them. I'll provide some tips on how to use social media for business, and I'll go over some social media frequently asked questions, and then we'll spend some time answering questions from the audience. If you have any questions now or think of some along the way, I ask that you post them in the chat, and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so first up, an introduction to social media and its benefits. So what is social media? Well, for those of you that don't know, social media is a computer-based technology that facilitates the sharing of ideas, thoughts, and information. And this is able to happen through the building of virtual networks and communities. By design, social media is internet-based and gives users a way of communicating and sharing content electronically. The content shared includes personal information, documents, videos, and photos, and users are able to engage with social media via a computer, tablet, or smartphone on web-based software or a web application. Social media started as a way to interact with friends and family, but was later adopted by businesses which wanted to take advantage of a popular new communication method to reach out to customers. The power of social media is the ability to connect and share information with anyone on Earth or with many people simultaneously. Globally, there are more than 3 billion social media users. Social media users tend to be younger. Nearly 90% of people between the ages of 18 and 29 use at least one form of social media. And these users tend to be better educated and relatively wealthy, earning over $75,000 per year. Lastly, it's important to note that social media is ever changing and ever evolving. It's constantly changing, and so some of the information that we'll be discussing today, might be outdated in a couple of weeks and even in a couple of months. So just keep that in mind. As for the benefits of social media, there are several advantages to using social media for your business, but the ones that stand out are brand awareness, where billions of people across the world are using social media every day, and it makes sense to put your business where those customers are. Another benefit is brand personality. Social media is having a brand personality is becoming more important than ever before for businesses. It's becoming important for them to have a distinct voice and to engage with customers on a human level. Social media provides an easy avenue for this and allows business owners to develop an identity and a voice to showcase their brand values and engage with followers. Another benefit is thought leadership. Social media provides you with an opportunity to both learn from and stand out from competitors, establishing yourself as an industry leader through engaging and relevant content. Social media also allows for increased website traffic. If your followers like your social media content, they become interested in you and go to your website to learn more about your business, which means higher website traffic and potentially more sales for you. Reputation management is another benefit of using social media for your business. Reputation, as we all know, is everything, and social media gives you the perfect opportunity to communicate with customers and solve issues quickly. You can also use social media to highlight positive reviews or comments as well. Another benefit is having access to analytics and insights. Most social media platforms have their own analytics tools, which allow you to monitor things like your follower count, engagement rates, and click-through rates as well. Being able to keep a pulse on your competitors is another great benefit of social media, where social media not only allows you to engage with your customers, but you can also stay on top of your competitors and see what they're doing. Take a look at some of their successes and failures so that you can learn from them. And lastly, the last benefit of using social media for your business is targeted advertisements. It's very easy to create ads on social platforms, and the benefit is that you can target them to specifically suit your audience. The key takeaway here from this slide is that there are many benefits to social media for business, including access to analytics, a boost in website traffic, and the chance to develop a brand personality. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the most popular social media platforms and how to use them or what you can use them for. As you can see from this slide, there are many social media platforms, and the number of platforms continues to grow. While this might seem overwhelming, it also means that there are many options and opportunities for you and your business. First off, Facebook. Facebook is a highly popular social media platform with a varied audience. As of 2020, Facebook has over 2.7 billion active monthly users. As such, every business should have a Facebook page. When used correctly, a Facebook page can be invaluable to a small business. You can use Facebook to share everything from photos to important company updates. With a business account, you have access to powerful advertising tools and in-depth analytics. Business pages also have a lot of customization options. You can use Facebook to highlight information such as your contact information, hours of operation, and the products and services you offer. And not only does Facebook have a lot of users, they're also pretty active and engaged. As you can see here, 74% of users report using the platform daily. 51% use Facebook several times a day, and 23% use it once a day. It's a widely used platform, has a global audience that skews female, but both men and women are on the platform. The audience is older, from all education levels and from all income levels as well. All right, now let's talk about Instagram. Instagram, as some of you may know, it is owned by Facebook. It is also incredibly popular with around 1 billion active users. And from Instagram Live to Instagram Stories, there is no shortage of tools that businesses can use to promote their services and products on this platform. Instagram is primarily a visual platform based entirely on photo and video posts. So it's best for businesses that have strong visual content to share. It's important to note that this platform is almost entirely mobile. You can't take photos or create new posts on the desktop version, although some social media management tools like Hootsuite and Buffer do allow for direct Instagram scheduling on their desktop platforms. More artistic niches tend to excel on Instagram, and whoever is running your account should have a good eye for detail and at least some basic photography skills in order to ensure that the photos and videos posted to your account are of high quality. While Instagram continues to rise in popularity, its daily login is still second to Facebook. As you can see here, 63% of users use the platform daily, 42% check Instagram several times a day, and 21% of users go on the platform once a day. Instagram skews female, but both men and women are on the platform. It also skews a younger audience. Most users are located in the US, and users of all education levels and all income levels are represented. Now on to Twitter. Twitter has a total of 330 million global monthly users. 262 million of those users are outside of the US, and it's often used for breaking news from around the world. Twitter is great for short updates, engaging with followers, and sharing links to blog posts. On Twitter, you can share short tweets, videos, images, links, polls, and more. It's also easy to interact with your audience on this platform by mentioning users in your post, along with liking and retweeting tweets. Companies like Wendy's excel on Twitter because they have a unique on-brand voice on the platform that they use to their advantage. Other companies use the platform to handle customer service. If you have interesting content and can voice that content in an engaging way, Twitter is a great tool for quickly spreading the word. Hashtags help you boost posts, and if a user with a lot of followers retweets you, your content has the opportunity of going viral. With Twitter, it's important to find balance though. So don't just share your links or media. Make sure that you're also sharing a lot of interesting, relevant content from other Twitter users as well. Twitter skews male, but again, both men and women, both genders are on the platform. It skews a younger audience as well. Most users are in the US, or it's very popular in the US, but of course, as we know, there's a lot of users globally as well. The users are located in all geographic regions, so urban, suburban, and rural areas. Most users are educated, and they're also high income earners. All right, let's talk about YouTube. YouTube is a video sharing platform where people can view, upload, rate, share, and comment on content. It is owned by Google, and the site is a huge hub for news and entertainment. Many businesses on YouTube have a creative, visual, or educational component. The platform is heavily creative in nature, so it's important for you to have a dedicated video editor producing content. However, in order to your business doesn't necessarily need a channel to market on the platform. There's a subculture of YouTube influencers who publish frequent videos and often maintain large audiences. And so businesses can partner with YouTubers for product placement because these users already have engaged audiences. Using YouTube influencers can be an easier way of marketing your business on the platform, since you don't have to put in the time and effort of creating content and building a following, which can take years. YouTube has widespread use among all US adults, ranking it higher than Facebook actually. In the US, 73% of adults use the video streaming platform. For those who do use the network, 38% of them reported logging in several times a day. And as video content continues to take over social media, establishing your YouTube presence is a priority, just like on any other social channel. YouTube is a widely used platform. It skews male, but both men and women are using the platform. All ages are represented. Users are located in various geographic areas. They are a part of all income levels and also all education levels. Excuse me. All right, so LinkedIn. LinkedIn has 260 million monthly users and is the best platform for professional networking. This is a great tool for those of you who have B2B businesses. So far, we've talked a lot about other platforms that are more equipped for B2C businesses, but LinkedIn is great for those of you who offer your products or services to other businesses or to government agencies or departments, bureaus, etc. So it's great for professional networking. It's also a great place for finding top talent, for positioning yourself as an industry leader, and for promoting your business as well. LinkedIn is designed to be more professional than other social media platforms. And so what that means is that your tone is going to be different on LinkedIn. The way that you would talk to other business owners or to a potential business client is different from the way that you would communicate with an individual person. LinkedIn is geared towards businesses and professionals. Users can create profiles that are similar to resumes, and then companies can create pages that showcase their business. Because LinkedIn is a professional platform, it's the best place for posting job openings and for posting information about your company culture. You can join industry-specific LinkedIn groups to ask and answer questions, which can help establish your brand recognition and bring users to your company page and website. Like on Twitter, it's best to have a mix of original and shared content on your page. So commit to creating polished, professional content related to your business on LinkedIn. LinkedIn skews male, but again, both men and women are using LinkedIn. It's most popular with 30 to 49-year-olds. Most users are living in either urban or suburban areas. They're educated and also high income earners. On to Pinterest. Pinterest has more than 300 million users worldwide. It is visually oriented. It's a visually oriented platform. This allows users, Pinterest allows users to save and display content by pinning to digital bulletin boards, which can also be organized by category. For example, a personal user might have a food board that's dedicated to pinning recipes, another board dedicated to photography, and so on. Every pin on Pinterest includes an image or video, so it's purely visual in nature. Pinterest is not the place for you to share information on your business like business hours, but it is great for niche businesses. But keep in mind that this may not also be, the best platform for every company, for every business. If you have a lot of great visual content, if your business is visual in nature, then Pinterest is going to be great for you. And some of the popular categories on this site include DIY projects, fashion, exercise, beauty, photography, and food. But it's not to say that businesses outside of these categories can't succeed on the platform, but it does make Pinterest an especially good marketing tool for businesses that are in these areas. As you can see here, Pinterest does allow you to post both images and videos, infographics as well. Pinterest skews female. It also skews a younger audience. Users are located across all geographic areas. Users are educated, and they're also high income earners. All right, on to Snapchat. So Snapchat is another mobile-only visual social media network that's known for its disappearing content. Snapchat has 210 million daily active users. Users can send videos and photos to each other or post content to their public stories, which disappear after 24 hours. The app has expanded to include chat, messaging, image storage, events, and media content. but now content posted on Snapchat can also easily be saved and uploaded elsewhere. Because posts are temporary, there's less pressure, not only for individuals, but also for businesses to create super polished content. You can also see how many and which specific users have viewed your content or your stories. And a small business will most likely utilize the platform stories feature, which can allow business owners to easily create story-driven and interactive content. Snapchat has both male and female users. It skews a younger audience. Users are located across all geographic areas. They're a part of all education levels, and they are low. They're low income earners. Since most of the users are younger, so they're either still in school or they may be recent graduates. All right, TikTok. So TikTok, as you all know, is relatively new. It's a relatively new platform. This platform is a great space for users to create and share short videos. This can be a successful option for businesses, but only if it's used properly. TikTok is most popular with Generation Z. And so if you want to create a TikTok account or TikTok profile, make sure that you have a keen understanding of your brand and how that translates to TikTok specifically. And so my suggestion to you is looking at how other businesses are tackling it before you try it yourself. TikTok has about 800 users worldwide. Like I said, it allows you to create and share short videos. And if you've never been on the platform, most of the videos include people singing, dancing, lip syncing, and also just talking about several different topics. They might be doing, some sort of how-to video. It's pretty diverse in terms of content. All right, in terms of TikTok's audience, the audience skews female. It also skews a younger audience, and most users are located in the US. All right, this is the last one for today. So Clubhouse, this is the newest and buzziest social media application or platform around right now. It was launched last year in 2020 and has grown rapidly in the last year. They now have several million users. One thing to note is that Clubhouse is exclusive and it is invite only. But if you know of someone that is currently using the platform, they can just accept your invitation. Clubhouse is primarily audio based. And so it's kind of like having like a live podcast that you can listen to. It's a place for live conversations about different industries, professions, and interests. And these are all happening in rooms, these things called rooms. Some things that you can take advantage of on Clubhouse is being able to find people and follow them. You can join different rooms where they're going to be talking about different topics. And then you can also follow clubs or be a part of different clubs as well. In terms of audience, Clubhouse at the moment skews, and this is information from the end of last year to early this year. Again, the platform is still fairly new, and so there isn't as much information out there yet. So anyways, the audience skews male. It's at the moment most popular with 25 to 34-year-olds, and most of the users are in the US. And some of the top interests or some of the top things that people are talking about on Clubhouse include business, science, tech, music, and sports. And as you can see on the right-hand side, a lot of the audience members, they are a part of tech industries, or they are marketers, they might be entrepreneurs or technologists or founders, a part of startups, they might be strategists, and so those are some of the people that are on TikTok, and also some of the hottest some of the people that are on Clubhouse and some of the hottest topics on Clubhouse as well. All right, so for those of you who are looking to use social media for business, here are some of my tips. First and foremost, I would make sure that you start with a plan. Like every good business strategy, using social media for small business success needs to start with a good plan. Without a plan, you have no clear goal for what you're trying to achieve. That means there's no way for you to measure results. And so take the time to create a social media plan up front. This ensures that all your social efforts support specific business goals. And so in terms of starting with a plan, some of the things that you should be doing are setting social media goals and objectives, researching the competition and seeing what they're doing, conducting a social media audit. So, if you are already posting on social media, look at some of the things that you've already been doing and see, what has been popular, what has gotten the most engagement. If if you don't currently have social media, I would encourage you to go to your competition's social media accounts and, do an audit of their pages, right? Some of your direct competitors, see what they're posting, and then also see what their audience is responding positively to. Also make sure that you're finding inspiration, looking for inspiration, so that you have inspiration for content creation. And then lastly, consider creating a social media calendar so that you can plan out your content day to day, week by week, month to month, etc. The next tip that I can provide is deciding what platforms are right for you. Make sure that you're not just making assumptions. You should be conducting research so that you can understand which platforms make the most sense for you. You should be looking at your data, right? You should understand who your customer is. You should do research on your industry, on your competitors, on your customer, so that you can understand, what platforms your customers are actually on, what platforms most of your competitors are on, and then also, what platforms make the most sense for your industry. In terms of your customers, make sure that you're, one of the things that you can ask yourself is, or a few of the things that you can ask yourself is, who is my customer, and where are they spending their time online? What blogs are they reading? What media sources are they perusing, and what social media platforms are they spending most of their time on. One thing to note is that you're going to be using different social media channels or platforms to reach different audiences and to meet different goals. So I mentioned earlier that that there's a lot of different options. And so what that means is that there's a lot of different opportunities, but each one of these platforms that you're on is gonna require you to have different goals, and also different strategies. Next, know your audience. I'm going to sound like a broken record a little bit, just because, as a marketer, this is super important, knowing who your audience is. Anytime that you are, deciding anything in terms of marketing, whether, how to say something or where to say something, or, what colors you should be using or what products you should be developing or whatever else, you should keep your audience in the loop, and you should have a good understanding of who your audience is. And what that means is, you should be collecting data. If you already have customers, then you should be collecting some sort of data with them. Make sure that you're, not just collecting the data, but that you're also analyzing that data as well. So, if you, your payment software system, right? That might be collecting data, or, when people are signing up for your newsletter, that's another way that you're collecting data. So make sure that you're keeping this data somewhere, but that you're also analyzing it, so that you can find some insights that you can use to make some decisions. So in terms of your audience, you should know who they are, what they want, how they behave, what they can afford. And then one thing to know is that your customer is not everyone. I meet with a lot of clients about their marketing, and I'll ask them who their client or who their customers are, and they'll tell me everyone. And, while your product or service might be attractive to, everyone or most people or a lot of people, the reality is that, the more broad that your customer is, or, the more customers that you have, the more complicated that your marketing plan is going to be, and the more expensive that it's going to be to reach these people both online and offline. So the more specific that you can get, the more success that you're going to have in marketing. So once you know who your audience is, the next step is expanding your audience. So once you know who your audience is, you would want to revisit your social media plan and look for ways to reach more people like them. So you know who you are, and you know who they are. You know who your customers are, and so the next question that you should be asking yourself is, okay, I know that my customer is this kind of person. Where can I find more people like this kind of person? And so some options for you include lookalike audiences on Facebook advertising, doing some A/B testing to see what kind of content they are responding more favorably to, or what advertisements they're responding better to. And then also geo-targeting, which is good for those of you who are primarily looking to reach local customers, or people within your general local area. So after you know who your audience is and expand that audience, the next step is trying to build relationships with that audience. So the great thing about social media is that it allows you to talk directly to customers. It also allows you to respond to compliments, to comments, and to answer questions for these customers. Keep in mind that this is a long-term relationship. You should be building rapport with that customer over a long period of time. And so just have that in mind, right, that it's supposed to be a relationship that you're building over time, and it's something that's going to take work. It's something that's going to take multiple interactions as well. Make sure that you're engaging with your audience so that you can build that trust, and so that you can form a loyal following. So, continue interacting with them over a long period of time so that you can build that trust, and so that you can build that loyalty from them. And eventually they will refer other people to your product or service. And then another way of building relationships and building trust and building a loyal following is by working with influencers. My next tip for you is making sure that you're sharing compelling visuals whenever you can. So when I say compelling visuals, I'm talking about photos, videos, memes, infographics, maybe some behind the scenes shots of you and your team in action, or behind the scenes shot of you manufacturing the product. Some stock photos are also pretty good. It's always best to have like real photos of you and your customers. But if you're not able to do that right now, then stock photos are just as good, and then gifts are also another option. The point that I'm trying to make here is that the visuals should be compelling, but you also want to make sure that you are sharing diverse content as well. So you're not only sharing photos, but you're also sharing videos, and you're sharing infographics, and you're educating and inspiring and empowering and entertaining your audience in order to keep them engaged. Focus on quality over quantity. This is another tip that I want to provide. I know that if you're just getting ready to enter social media, you're probably in the very early stages, and so just do what you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. The sort of end goal or the aspiration is posting great content, right? Things that offer value, things that people are interested in. Like I said, things that educate people, that entertain them, that inspire them. But at the beginning, that may not be possible. And so at first, what's most important is just making sure that you are posting something, and that you're just doing what you can, and that they are just quality images, and that you're doing your best. Other things to remember is that, on social media and when you're using these technologies, remember to be honest, remember to be human. I was talking earlier about the fact that, when you're talking to businesses on a platform like LinkedIn, and when you're talking to individual consumers, you're going to talk to each one of those customers differently. And so, aside from being human and aside from being honest, make sure that you know who that audience is, so that you can respond appropriately. If they're an individual consumer, you can be a little more informal with them than you would with a business over LinkedIn. And then another thing that I usually recommend to clients is that they should start with maybe 1 or 2 social media channels that they're going to focus on. There's a lot of them out there. I usually tell clients that they should be on the big 4 platforms, or at the very least secure usernames on the big 4 platforms, or the big 5 platforms, which are Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. So those are the big 4 would be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And then number 5 would be LinkedIn. So, 4, 5 platforms, that's a lot to manage. That's a lot to think about. That's a lot to plan for. And so at the very least, make sure that you're securing usernames on those other platforms, and just focus on 1 or 2 that that your customers on and that you want to, to invest your time, energy, and resources into. My next tip for you is making sure that you're using the right tools. There's loads of tools out there, and so just make sure that you're taking advantage of them, because they do allow you to automate and simplify a lot of your work. Many of the clients that I work with, it may just be 1 person on the team or 2 people on the team, and they're like, you're giving me a lot of great recommendations, but I'm not really sure how to make the time for all of these things. And the reality is that, marketing is hard. It's a hard job. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And so, instead of you doing everything on your own, just remember that there are tools that exist to help you do your job better. There's engagement management tools or social media management tools like Buffer and Hootsuite. And there's a bunch of other engagement management tools as well. Just you can do like a Google search for engagement management tools and just see what comes up. There's also a bunch of analytics tools, right, that allow you to understand like how these social media platforms are actually how things are going on those platforms, whether you're being successful or not with your strategies and your tactics. There's tools for creating graphics like Canva, Chart, where you can create infographics, where you can create like really great looking posts or, little mini videos. So use those tools. And then lastly, there's content curation tools, and content curation just means like, a platform where you can get inspiration about content that you can be posting, or, things that you could be potentially creating or crafting or posting about. Next tip for you is making sure that you're monitoring and responding to social media conversations. This is known as social listening. And so, if you're doing social listening correctly, then, this will allow you to be aware of conversations that are happening. Another thing to be mindful of is that you should respond where appropriate. So, if somebody's asking you a question, don't just leave them hanging. Make sure that you're answering their questions. If somebody has a negative comment, you should also be responding to that. So, just make sure that you're keeping the conversation going and that you're monitoring and responding to those social media conversations. One other thing that I want to add is that, as you're having these conversations online, also kind of read between the lines on what people are saying to see what insights can be gained from those conversations, right? Maybe the person that reached out or the person that commented is praising you on a job well done, and so that lets you know that you should be doing more of whatever it is that they're saying. If they are giving you some negative feedback, then that lets you know that, and if multiple people are talking about the exact same thing, then that lets you know that you need to to kind of better some of your operations or some of your processes. And so just keep in mind that in having those conversations, as you're listening, as you're social listening, there's a lot to be learned and gained as well. Next tip is making sure that you're scheduling content so that you can free up time. This goes back to using the right tools and taking advantage of those tools. Scheduling content is huge, and it really does allow you to free up your time. Earlier, I was talking about, starting with the plan and potentially creating a social media calendar. Scheduling tools are essentially you creating a social content calendar online. So instead of you, just putting this on paper somewhere, you would have a digital copy of this. And so you're able to see an entire month, a calendar, an entire month, and you're able to see, okay, well, this is what I'm posting on Monday, and these are the platforms that I'm going to be posting on. So after you've created, some sort of content calendar, or at least, once you've kind of thought through, like, what the theme for the month is going to be, or more or less what you want to be talking about that month, then the next step would be trying to schedule some of this content so that you can free up your time. These social media management tools allow you to create social posts in advance. They allow you to schedule these posts so that they post automatically. And so make sure that you're blocking off time to do this. A lot of clients ask me, okay, well, what is the right amount of time to invest in marketing every single week. And I would say, maybe 1 to like 3 hours. You're business owners, you have a lot going on. If you're a one person show, solo founder, you have a lot going on. And so you shouldn't spend all of your time marketing. And because one thing to keep in mind is that, marketing doesn't equal sales. I have people talk to me all the time and they're like, okay, well, I want to do marketing because I want to increase my sales. But the goal of marketing is not increasing your sales. The goal of marketing is creating brand awareness. It's building that brand awareness. It's making sure that when people are in the market for the product or service that you're offering, that they think of you, that they think of your product, that they think of your service, and that they have like positive thoughts when they're thinking about, you and the products and services that you offer. That's the goal of marketing, just making sure that people know that you exist, making sure that people know that you're an option, so that when they're ready for the products or services that you're offering, they say, hey, I know Leyanis, offers marketing and consulting. I'm actually in need of a marketer right now. I'm in need of a consultant. I'm going to reach out to her. The next tip that I can give is making sure that you're tracking and refining your performance. One of the rules of marketing is making sure that you're starting with the end in mind. And all that means is that you should have a plan for how you are going to track the success of something. So, if you're going to be investing in a Facebook ad, or if you are going to purchase a billboard, like, how are you going to know whether or not it worked, right? What is it that you're going to be doing? What activities or tactics are you going to be doing in order to measure whether or not, you investing in a billboard has actually paid off, or you investing in Facebook advertising has actually paid off? So one thing to think about is what metrics actually matter the most to you. And so once you've thought about what metrics matter, whether it's the number of clicks or the number of people that have called you, or the number of hits to your website, or the number of sales, or whatever else, once you've thought about what things you want to measure, then it's making sure that you're actually measuring these things. And one great way of doing that is just putting those things in Excel, right? So you can just put in an Excel sheet like the metrics that matter to you, and then you will go ahead and every month or every week or every day, you'll go in there and say, okay, I've had this many people like my ad, I've had this many people comment, I've had, this many people come to my website, et cetera, et cetera. In measuring these metrics and measuring in measuring your performance, this allows you to understand what's working and what's not working. And for things that aren't working, it helps you understand what you should be fine tuning and where you should be improving, right? What are some of your weaknesses and what are your threats? And so analytics tools, like I was talking about earlier, these are really great tools for doing this, for tracking and refining performance. But, if you either don't want to, you're not super tech savvy, and so you don't want to learn Google Analytics, or you don't know how to use it, an Excel sheet is just fine as well. Or a Google sheet is fine as well. All right, so now I'm going to go through some social media FAQs. The last time that I did this presentation, there were a lot of questions, which is one of the main reasons why I'm leaving questions to the end, to make sure that we're getting through all of the content and then have more than enough time for questions. But this section is kind of dedicated to some of the questions that I've gotten most in terms of social media. And so hopefully, some of your questions will already be answered within the section. If not, I'd be more than happy to answer them once I've covered this section. All right, so FAQ number 1, which platforms should I be on? The answer to that is that it depends on your business or your industry, and it also depends on your customer. And so you want to make sure that you're looking at, where your customers are. And that's one of the reasons why earlier I was talking to you about the audiences of each one of these platforms, because you're probably, if you know who your audience is, you know who your customer is, and you can say, okay, well, Leyanis said that like this platform skews a younger audience, and my customers are younger, so I should probably be on that platform. But you should also look and see like what platforms your competitors are on, and then also what's popular within your industry. So some of my recommendations are picking channels that are going to reach your customer, right? Make sure that they're on there. but that those channels or platforms also match your brand. Maybe Twitter doesn't make all that much sense for you, because you're not a great writer, or you're not producing a bunch of content, and maybe your business is a lot more visual, so you want to make sure that you're on Instagram and that you're on Pinterest. I usually recommend to clients, again, to have a presence on the big four platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, but that's because of the power of these platforms. Usually when you do a search for anything on social media, one of the first things that comes up is going to be either a Facebook page or an Instagram or a Twitter or YouTube page. And so I really honestly feel that, if you're not on one of these platforms already, or if you're not thinking about incorporating these platforms into your marketing plan, that you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, because just securing the usernames and setting up the bio already kind of increases your chances of being found by potential customers just by being on them. And again, in terms of, again, there's a lot of platforms that exist. I would recommend that you pick one or two that you're going to focus on, but make sure that you're securing your usernames on the other ones. Oftentimes what happens is that, clients come to me and they're like, I'm using Instagram, I'm only on Instagram, and they may have a pretty generic username or name for their business. And so, by the time that they're ready to be on Pinterest or be on Twitter or be on Facebook or whatever else, the username is taken because their business name is pretty popular, it's pretty generic, and somebody else has already thought of it. And one of the recommendations that I give to clients is that they should be, consistent across all platforms. Your domain should be similar to your username on Instagram, which should be the same or similar to the one on Facebook, because this just makes it easier for your customer to find you. FAQ number 2, when should I get started on social media? The answer is 1 to 3 months before launching your business. So, before you've even registered your business, you should already be thinking about social media, and you should already start creating those profiles so that you can ensure, that those usernames are actually available. Before you launch your business, you want to make sure that you're not going to run into any branding issues. And actually, one of the first steps in the process of registering your business is searching for the name of your business, is making sure that the name of that business is available in your state. And so similar to that, you want to make sure that you are also, searching on social media to make sure that your name is available, that your username, the username that you want to use, is available. And so, give yourself some time to do that. If you've already launched, if you're already on social media, or sorry, not if you're already on social media, but if you've already registered your business, you've already launched the business, then, and if you don't currently have any social media platforms, my advice to you would just be, in terms of when you should get started on social media, I would just say that it's whenever you're ready to be consistent on these platforms. Because, the worst thing that you can do is post every single day for 3 months and then radio silence for another 3 months. You want to make sure that you pick a frequency and that you're sticking to it. But some of the other recommendations that I can give is that, you give yourself enough time. The more time that you give yourself, the better, so that you can build a community around your brand and so that you can start building that awareness. And then again, make sure that you're checking the availability of these usernames and securing them as soon as possible. All right, so FAQ number 3, what do I do if the username that I wanted is taken? So, the answer to this, or some of the recommendations that I can give are, 1, picking another username or coming up with a new one, or, thinking about variations of whatever you've thought of. You could also reach out to the user directly. So, if somebody's already using it and, maybe the account is dormant, or, they're not super active, you could reach out to them, you can message them and say, hey, actually, I'm going to need this username, would you mind deleting your profile so that I can use it? Or you can report dormant accounts to the social media platforms as well. You can file a complaint, or, within your agreement with the person that's currently using that username, you may or may not have to pay them, or, come up with some sort of other arrangement. Some of the recommendations that I can give here are making sure that you're using business name checkers to check availability. You can literally go to any search engine and just put search name checkers and a bunch will come up. I usually will, just click on the first few that come up, and I'll check whatever name I'm thinking of on each one of those sites. Just because, they're not always super accurate. So what I'll do is I'll start off by doing a search on a few different name checkers. And then I'll usually go on the social medias as well, just to search and see if anybody comes up under the usernames that I'm thinking of. I would also suggest picking the name of your business and usernames at the same time. We've already kind of talked about this. There's a reason for this. You want to make sure that, these things are available, so it makes sense for you to be picking them at the same time and looking them up at the same time. And then in terms of how to come up with one, how to come up with a username, just make sure that it's short, memorable, clear, easy to say out loud. I would probably stay away from underscores, but that's just like my personal opinion. I don't like underscores in usernames. I think that, it just makes the username look really long. And then it's just hard to kind of be consistent on other platforms with the usernames as well. Because of like character restrictions and length restrictions on some platforms. And then the last thing is just aim to have the same username on all platforms. Like I said, you want to make sure that you're consistent across all platforms. And so, this is why you should be like using name checkers, right? So that you can validate that those names, that those usernames are available on all platforms before you actually, secure them. FAQ number 4. Yeah, 4. So what should I post? What should I say? Again, this depends on your business and your industry. It also depends on your customer. It's going to depend on your branding. So who you are, what do you look like? And when I say who you are, I don't mean you as an individual. I mean your business. Like, who is your business? What do they look like? If your business was a person, like, who would they be? What would they look like? What would they say? What would they stand for? And what makes you only? What makes the business only? In terms of what you should be posting, what you should say, some of my recommendations here are creating a persona for your business that's modeled after someone your customer will resonate with. So if you know that, Ariana Grande is like super popular with like your audience, or if you know that, your audience really admires like President Biden or something, try to get in the mind space of, President Biden or Ariana Grande or whoever else, whatever other character or persona that they resonate with, and try to talk to your audience as if you were these people. So I would just say that you should be getting into character when you're writing copy. Also make sure that you're looking at what your competitors are doing, right? Your direct competitors, people who are offering similar services, who have similar customers, who are looking to target, more or less the same people. Look at how they're interacting with their audience, look at what they're saying, look at the words that they're using. But you essentially want to have, especially if you're a B2C company, right? You're selling your products and services to individual consumers. Again, you want to be informal, but you also want to make them feel like they're your friends and like you're talking to one of your friends. And then also remember to post a mix of content. So, not just photos, but there should also be some videos in there, some infographics, some memes. Make sure that you're mixing it up. And again, you can look at your competitors and see what they're posting so that you can get inspiration and ideas on what you could also be posting about. FAQ, another FAQ, when and how often should I be posting? To answer the one question, I would look at your analytics and insights. If you have business profiles, you have access to analytics and insights. But in terms of when, some of the most popular times to post are before work, lunchtime, after work, and before bed. But also remember that, this is information that exists online. And so, a lot of people search, okay, when is the best time to post something? So a lot of people are posting before work and during lunchtime and after work and before bed. And so, you can either follow the crowd, or you could also go against the grain and not post during these times, and see how you can do some A/B testing and pick a week where you're not posting during these times, and then pick another week where you're only posting during these times and see what performs better. And then in terms of how often, ideally 1 to 4 times a day. But again, I understand that you guys are just getting started. You may not have the capacity or the bandwidth or the time or the energy or the resources to post this frequently. And so my advice to most clients is that they should just be picking a frequency that works for them. So whether it's once a day or once a week or once every other day or once a month, just make sure that you are picking a frequency and that you are just being consistent. The number one thing, the most important thing is just making sure that you're being consistent. So pick a frequency and stick to it. The next FAQ, is it okay to post the same content on each platform? The short answer is no, but when you're starting out, it's okay. You can repurpose the same content though, but you shouldn't be posting the exact same thing. Remember that, your audience is going to vary on each one of these platforms. And so, you should not be saying the same thing the exact same way on all of these platforms. You can also change the imagery or the visuals that you're posting as well. People follow your brand on different platforms for different reasons, so keep that in mind. And then also your audience is going to be different on each one of these platforms, so it doesn't make sense for you to be saying the exact same thing, but you can take that same piece of content, you can take either that same image or that same video or that same graphic, and then you can change up like the language within the post so that it actually resonates with that audience that's on that platform. So, again, repurpose the same content for different platforms. And then it would also help to create a content calendar so that you can keep track of, when what you're gonna post on what platform, and how you're gonna say certain things and the not just the visuals, but also the words that are gonna follow and be next to those visuals. The next FAQ, how do I get more followers / increase my following? Keep in mind that this takes time. There is no there is no way to get like 1 million followers overnight, unless you have gone viral in some sort of way, or you were on the news for something like really spectacular, or people just found out about you and have been wondering where you've been all their life, and now they just want to see or hear from you all the time. Like it doesn't happen for most people. It's very hard to gain a following, to increase your following. But my advice or my answers to this frequently asked question is making sure, number one, that you're optimizing your account. So on your accounts, you should have a bio, you should have a username, right? And it should be a consistent username across all platforms. You should have a profile image. So, just make sure that you're making the most of the accounts that you have. Make sure that you are creating and posting high quality content. Make sure that you're being consistent. Make sure that you're getting others to share your profile. Remember to stay authentic, to stay honest, to remember to be human, and engage your audience. If people are commenting, respond to their comments. If they're like, hey, you look really good in this picture, or, hey, congratulations on that award that you just won, respond and say thank you, or, just tell them like, I couldn't have done it without you, or whatever else. Make sure that your customers and your potential customers, make sure in your community, make sure that they feel like they're being heard and they're being seen. And then also make sure that if they're liking your pictures, make sure that you're also liking their pictures and staying up to date on what they're doing. Recommendations, don't buy likes or followers. I also post content that your followers actually want. And you're probably like, well, how do I know what my followers want? You can go on their profiles and see what they're talking about, see what they're posting about. You can see like what conversations they are participating in as well, depending on the platform. Also, you can create your own conversations, right, on your profiles, or you can create a group or whatever else. Within those groups or those communities that you're creating or those profiles, create conversations, pose questions, ask people's feedback on things. And then also remember to use hashtags so that your content has a higher likelihood of being found on social media platforms. Next FAQ, how do I handle negative comments? So you have two options. You can either address them or ignore, delete, block, or filter. I don't really recommend the latter. You shouldn't be ignoring your audience. You shouldn't be deleting their comments. You shouldn't be blocking them or filtering them. You can also just like, not allow comments depending on the platform, but I also wouldn't recommend that because you want to show people that you're accessible, that they can engage with you. And so my biggest advice is just addressing those comments, whether positive or negative. Make sure that you're answering and make sure that you're answering and that you're responding to the best of your ability. uh, Recommendations you should answer so that you can regain trust, especially for some of those negative comments and feedback. And then if you're answering, you're engaging your customers. Also, don't take too long to answer. So if somebody wrote a comment to you today, you should not be responding next month. Again, you want to make sure that you're consistent on these platforms, and so people should be hearing from you, especially if you just posted this picture. You should get back to people, within the next couple of minutes or within the next couple of hours or within the next couple of days. Don't have a few months go by and then you're like, oh, thank you so much for this like picture, because for a comment, a positive comment that people were giving you for a picture that you posted months ago. And then lastly, use negative comments as feedback for your business products and services. We already kind of talked about this, but there are insights to be learned from social listening. There's insights to be learned from both positive and negative comments. And so make sure that you're listening to these comments, that you're reading them, but that you're also analyzing them and reading between the lines so that you can figure out how it could best serve you and your business and your audience. This is actually the last FAQ. So I've also gotten a lot of questions about what should I be posting during COVID. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. And so some options for those of you who are just getting started, some options on what to post during this time. You could be helping people. So you can offer some sort of help. You could maybe analyze some legislation or let people know about different funding opportunities that are available, or letting them know how you're helping people in the community. You can simplify things for them. So again, legislation, or just give a list of where they can go, where toilet paper is still available, if that's actually something that is relevant to your business. Or you could simplify something that was in the news, or you can simplify how to apply for something or whatever else. You can help people, you can analyze things for them. You can also share how you're giving back to the community and talk about the causes that are important to you. But you can also market other people, right? So you can talk about either your customers or your stakeholders, or your competitors, or your partners, or whatever else. You can talk about other people that you think are doing great jobs in the community and that are really being supportive during this time. You can be doing some recruitment marketing. So you can talk about either new employees or post about jobs that you're hiring for. And then lastly, you should be sharing updates and good news. There's a lot of things going on in our world right now, or a lot of negative things that are going on right now, a lot of violence. And so, make sure that you're sharing good news. It's always great to see good news. It's always great to see that, your business is staying open, that you are persevering during these times. And also make sure that your information is up to date, right? So, if you have new hours, let people know about that. If you have new menu items, or if you're out of certain food items, or whatever else, make sure that people know about that. If you have a new product or service, like let us know. If you're having a virtual event to like engage your community, you can talk about that. And then you can also tell us how you're keeping customers safe, but also how you're keeping your team safe, right? Your staff, what you're doing for your team or your staff during this time to be helpful. If you won any awards, you can also share memes. I've seen a lot of companies, both big and small, post like funny things that are entertaining. Anytime that there's like a challenge on TikTok or whatever, I see companies that are participating in them, and you can do the same. All right, so I know that I've thrown a lot of information at you, but I hope that you found this to be valuable. I hope that you found this to be useful, helpful. I hope that you've learned something. But also, I want you to know that we are here to help you. We have a lot of different resources, which I've already talked about a bit. But we also have a digital transformation center of excellence, where our mission is to empower small businesses to transform their business. by giving them access to training and tools so that they could either enhance existing systems or create new ones altogether, create new digital centric business models. And so some of the digital services that we're offering through our Digital Transformation Center of Excellence include helping clients with creating or modifying their website, helping them create or modify, an e-commerce store or an online store, a digital storefront. We're helping individuals with implementing and modifying their scheduling systems, helping them navigate remote work, and then providing a consultation around just technology and the digital space, the digital era that we're living in. So just know that if you were completely lost the entire time that I was talking, we do have resources available to support you, and you can meet with someone one-on-one. You can work with our team on getting the support that you need. Again, some of the services that we offer include training programs, webinars. We share resources with a lot of our clients. We offer one-on-one consulting, group consulting. We assist in applying for different funding opportunities and getting access to capital. We have different clinics, including our legal clinic. We also have a creative service department where we're offering low-cost graphic design and marketing services. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some of the training events that are happening, that are upcoming. We have a food business series that I've heard really great things about. We're also creating a lot of content around videos and how to effectively use it for your business. This webinar or this training is the first sort of step for this entire social media series that we're doing, where we're talking about the basics of each one of these social media platforms. So far, and you can go to our YouTube channel to see some of these videos, but we've talked about Twitter. We talk about Facebook pretty often. We've talked about Instagram. And so in the future, we'll be talking about LinkedIn. We'll also be talking about YouTube. So look out for those. And then we also have a website planning series as well. So for those of you who want to create a website on your own, you don't want to pay someone to do it, look out for our website planning series so that you can get the information that you need so that you can develop your own website. And then, again, you can use this as a resource. Make sure that you're staying in contact with us. Here's our email address, phone, and website. And also make sure that you're engaging with us and following us on social media as well. We would love to hear from you. If you have any content ideas, make sure that you're letting us know either through email or on the phone or through social media so that we could continue addressing your needs and wants as clients. All right, so thank you. It's been a pleasure. And now with the rest of the time that we have, I would love to answer some questions.
Thank you, Leyanis. That was great. We have a few questions in the Q&A. So first one is, what social media is best for customers that have a wide age range?
Okay, so what social media is best for customers that have a wide age range? So I'm assuming that you mean that you have customers of various ages. So if that's the case, then I would say that Facebook would be a pretty good resource for you. I would also say that YouTube would be also a really great resource for you. I wouldn't really say Instagram or Twitter, but it also depends on the interests of these users as well, or these customers. But if you have a diverse group of customers, I would probably focus on Facebook and YouTube. But I would encourage you to start collecting data on these customers and analyzing that data as well. And you could also potentially ask them, right? We talked a lot about engaging your audience, talking to them, getting feedback from them. You could easily, if you already have an Instagram, you could post a poll within your stories that says, hey, what social media platforms are you most active on? Or you could post a poll on Twitter just to get send an email, send a newsletter to everyone and ask them those things. So make sure that you're engaging your customer. Do you recommend, and now I'm just looking at the questions, Divya. So next question, do you recommend that existing businesses secure a social media name slash profile before they're ready to use it? My recommendation is yes. Usually what I tell clients is that, we were talking about this earlier, but, I said that you should have a presence on the big four platforms. But I also talked about choosing one or two that you're ready to be consistent on. And so if that's the case, if you're not ready to engage customers on all of them, usually what I tell clients is that they should just have something, at least one post, a placeholder that says one post or placeholder that just says like, hey, we're not super active on this platform. Please find us on these other, one or two platforms where we're more active. On YouTube, if you're not ready to use that, I usually tell customers to at least, have just like one video, which is kind of just like a commercial. You can just film this on your phone. It doesn't have to be anything professional. Eventually, you should have something that's a little more professional that you've paid to get done. But in the meantime, you can just record yourself on your phone, just saying like, hey, my name is this. I am the founder or owner or executive director or president or whatever else of this business. This is what we do. To learn more about us, go to these channels or these platforms. So if you're not ready to use them, I would still secure those usernames and then just put a placeholder for now. So if somebody were to land on those pages, you've told them that you're not super active on it and that they should learn more somewhere else. Is there a cost for the session? I'm not sure what session you're speaking of, but if you're talking about any of our series or anything like that,
The
no.
group session, Leyanis.
So in terms of group one-on-one consulting, no, there is no cost. For most of our services, there are no costs. The only thing that we charge for are our creative services, and then sometimes some of our training programs will have some fees as well associated with them, but we'll let you know in advance. But you can also see that on our website as well. And if there's no fee, if it doesn't talk about payment for those training sessions or opportunities, then they're free of charge. You would just have to be a client of ours, so you can't access you can't access some of our services unless you're a client of ours. And in order to be a client, you need to be a small business. So you need to fit within the definition of being a small business. And you also have to be located in Philadelphia County, Montgomery County, and Bucks County as well. So examples of social media management tools. We talked about a few of these earlier. So there's Buffer, and that's just spelled Buffer. There's also Hootsuite, which is spelled HOOT, and then suite as in like a guest suite, like at a hotel, or like a suite at a hotel. So SUITE, Hootsuite. There's also Sprout Social, a bunch of options online. I would just, HubSpot as well. I would just do a search for social media management platforms, and you'll find a bunch of blogs, a bunch of resources out there that will have like lists of all of the different management tools that are available. How to collect data on potential customers for a new business. So this is really a market research question. So in terms of collecting data, there's a lot of different things that you could be doing. There's primary research and secondary research. So in terms of, where to find this information, you could talk to people. So usually when you're starting a business, if you haven't actually started to get paid for products or services, you usually have a lot of assumptions at the beginning about who your potential customer will be. You don't know yet because, while you think that, working moms are your customers, or that, you're going to work with the government or whatever, you don't actually know if the government is interested in the products or services that you're offering. And you don't know if working moms are going to be interested in the product or service that you're offering. And so in order to validate that, you need to talk to these people. You need to get a better understanding of their problems and, the solutions that they're looking for, and, any other information that might be relevant for your business. But there are other resources available. There's like market research databases like IBIS World available. You can go to the census. I'm trying to think of Industry associations also will usually have reports. Banks will have reports. Government agencies also put out reports. So it really depends on what it is that you're looking for. But usually for your customers, you want to know things like demographics, where they're located, what psychographics, so things that they value, their interests, their opinions on things. And then also you should have information on the problem. But honestly, I think that you get the best data from talking to people, whether it's through surveys or calling them, or like focus groups, or one-on-one conversations. I think that you'll get the best insights from that. But of course, you'll usually start with doing some research online. All right, so how do I go about requesting assistance in creating a website? And thanks so much for the wealth of knowledge shared. You are welcome, Tracy. So in terms of requesting assistance, are you already a client of ours is my follow-up question to you. If you're not already a client of ours, then go to our website, temple.edu/SBDC. And then, on the left-hand side, there's a button that says request counseling. Go ahead and, select that button, go through the registration process, make sure that you're picking Temple as your center of choice. And once you become a client of ours, you go through that process. Again, it's free to become a client. And so once you've gone through that process, you'll have an intake call. So you go through the process, you'll book a 15-minute conversation with our team so that we could get a better understanding of what your needs are. And during that conversation, you can say, hey, I was listening to this workshop and you talked about this digital transformation center of excellence, and you mentioned that you help people with creating websites or optimizing websites or updating websites. I'm interested in that. That's what I would want to do. If you're already a client of ours, then just talk to your consultant and let them know that you're interested in getting help on your website. What resources would you recommend for data collecting to get info on our audience? I've already kind of answered this. So there's a lot of different tools out there. There's a lot of market research tools, but again, the best way to get information on a potential customer is just talking to them. So if you think that your product is for or your product or service is going to be great for educators, have conversations with educators, and during that conversation you're going to validate whether or not they're actually going to use your product or service. Have a focus group where you're watching people use your product or service, or cold email people. And of course, there's also a bunch of information that you can do online. Again, there's a lot of information that's provided by the federal government, such as the census. You can find information there. Universities are also really great resources, but it really just depends on who your customer is. So depending on what product or service you're selling and who your customer is, that's also going to dictate, what resources you should be looking into. If Temple does not offer a topic, is it possible to get help from another SBDC? So if you're located in our region, you would be a client of ours unless you would want to get transferred to another SBDC. Another option, if you're already a client of ours, is letting your consultant know that you're in need of a certain service, and then we'll go ahead and seek some experts from other centers. We'll bring them in on the conversations that we're having. But I'm not really sure what service or resource you're talking about. So just know that the things that I mentioned today about what we offer are like a smidge of all of the things that we could actually do for clients. And so it might just be a matter of asking, and if we don't have the resource or the tool or the information or knowledge or whatever else available right now, it doesn't mean that we won't have it in the future, and it doesn't mean that we won't be able to procure it for you either. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. There is one more question in the chat. So it says, are you aware of any applications that develop the actual content to be posted? There are plenty of calendar programs out there to schedule posts, but I would need help with creating the topics and the actual post content.
So let me read the question again. So are you aware of any applications that develop the actual content to be posted? There are plenty of calendar programs out there to schedule posts, but I would need help in creating the topics and the actual post content. So there aren't any applications that come to mind that are just like automatically doing it for you. All of the ones that I am aware of in this moment that are coming to mind, you would still be the one that's like, actually creating the content and coming up with the ideas. And, you would need your creative direction on creating the different infographics or posts or whatever else. And so, it really just does sound like you need someone else on your team, potentially an intern. And, we actually have a list of a resource list of where you could find part-time help, as well as where you can find part-time help and interns. You can also go to communications schools at different universities to look for interns, because in terms of coming up with help creating the topics. So thinking of topics, we talked a little bit about that. In terms of where to go to find these topics, social media is going to be great. See what other people are talking about, look at your competitors, see what they're talking about. News websites are also going to be good, and kind of letting like what's current, what's happening. But other places where you can look for content ideas include Buzz, Sumo, and then Pocket as well. These are just two different platforms where you can go on and, again, it's really just like a feed of like what's happening. Twitter is also really like a really great tool to see like what's happening in the world. And so based on that content or based on what people are talking about already, you can give your expertise or, a varied opinion, or put your own spin on things. And then in terms of like actually writing these things, or creating the visuals, so having a photographer take pictures, having a videographer create the content for you. A few resources for that, again, it would just be finding someone. So a few resources for that include Thumbtack, Upwork, Fiverr. Those are three pretty good ones where you'll be able to find experts, professionals that are freelancers, independent contractors that are content creators. And then you could also go to social media, right, and reach out to influencers on the platform. You could literally do a search on Instagram, for instance, for blogger, like hashtag blogger or hashtag influencer, and find people who are influencers and bloggers, and then reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in creating content for you. So it really just does sound like you need someone else. And so there are tools available out there so that you can find people. There are resources and organizations out there that can provide some knowledgeable, inexpensive support for your business. But I'm not aware of any application at the moment that can do everything that you're discussing like all at once. So.
Thank you, Leyanis, for that. We have one more question in the Q&A. Where can I find interns and part-time help?
Yeah, so in terms of finding interns and part-time help, like I was just saying, you can go to universities. So depending on what kind of intern or part-time, the first step is figuring out like what sort of assistance you need, right? So if you are looking for marketing assistance, then you could reach out to communication schools at different universities. Depending on whether you want someone here that's local in Philadelphia or you want someone in Miami or in California or whatever else, reach out to schools there. And usually they will have like somebody that's in charge of internships and that's in charge of connecting students to different opportunities. So I would just like reach out to the communications department and say, hey, reach out to the communications department and say, hey, I'm in need of an intern or part-time help. What resources do you have available? What's the processes for this? Can you provide me more information? Can you send this job post to your students, your audience. You also can post your job description on things like Indeed.com or Monster. There's also platforms specifically for internships as well. I know that Temple also uses they have and it's not just Temple, there's a platform that exists that I can't think of the name right now, but I think it's called like Handshake, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's a platform that a lot of universities use to connect students to internship opportunities. So that's another option. You can go to high schools, right? So same thing. Most high schools will have like a college prep advisor, or like a person that's kind of advising or providing opportunities to the students. You can go to, again, really depends on what it is, what sort of assistance you're looking for. But universities, high schools are going to be a great start. And then there are other organizations that exist, like upskilling organizations. And let me just look at this list really quick to see if I'm like missing anything. But yeah, so there are organizations that exist that that are also doing some of this work. Another good option is student groups on campus. So I know that Temple has like this organization called Prowl, and that's just spelled P as in Peter, R. It's just PR Owl. So like the animal and then PR, and it's like the PR student group. I know that they do take on clients and they do charge them. So, that's one thing. Handshake is the name of the platform where universities that connects university students with different internship opportunities. So check out Handshake. Again, career services, employer services at different universities are going to be great. Each university has something like that. Their universities are also doing like online job fairs, workshops on how to find internships. So it'd be great for you to be a part of some of these opportunities. Looking at this list, there's an organization called Pennsylvania Career Link. You can check them out. There's organization called Campus Philly, another good organization, that connects people to interns and part-time help. Philadelphia Works, their OJT program is another option. The Urban League of Philadelphia is another option. And then there's an organization called Year Up as well. So that could be another option for you.
Thank you so much, Leyanis.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we have answered all the questions.
Okay,
thank
great.
you everyone for joining, and thank you, Leyanis, for the presentation. It was great.
Thank you. We finished on time. So thank you guys so much for joining, and feel free to continue using us as a resource, and we'll see you at the next workshop. Have a good one.